This is a video refresher on the editorial article essay that there will be a draft due of as of Sunday at 11:59 p.m. This is a message for EN 100-03 or -AN3. For this essay, the editorial article project essay, you will write an editorial style article which could be published in a local newspaper such as the Buffalo News. In your editorial article, you will do the following. Number one, using the Partnership for the Public Good Buffalo website, identify an issue that directly affects the Buffalo area. Now, most of us have already done that, or at least most of us who were in class and staying up to date with the assignment before we had the interruption that meant that everything's now online. After that came one of the parts of the assignment that are very specific and perhaps a little bit more difficult, to the point where you want to make sure you've got some time to think this one through. You need to be able to discuss why the issue that you've chosen is important and how it could affect 3 different cultural groups in Buffalo. Now, I'd recommend doing this by taking a look at the way that the same issue has affected other places within the United States. The more specific you can get, the better, and the more comparable, those other locations are to Buffalo, New York, the better the analogy or the simile between the two will work as you write your essay. So again, try to do this by taking a look at comparable cities within the United States that have had the same issue, and as a result, that have had other cultural groups affected by it somehow. After that, make sure to take a stance on the issue. After all, we're not just writing about that for the fun of it. We're writing about it to show the way that it affects multiple groups, but also how you feel about it and the reason that you've been driven to write. Like I've emphasized before, it's really important that you choose a topic for this assignment that actually affects you and that you actually care about. It's always the case that writing is much more effective if we feel personally driven to do it rather than just doing it because we have to. After you've taken a stance on the issue, make sure that you've got clearly articulated thoughts about why it's important, how it affects the region, and how you would recommend something be done with it or about it. Finally, defend your stance by anticipating possible opposing arguments to your own arguments and responding to those opposing arguments. Right? So it's your ability to anticipate what those arguments are and actually speak to them before they even get made that will help you to structure the final part of the essay. Now, as I note within the assignment, the essay is a chance to practice reader or audience awareness, and this is always the case whenever we write something that's at all journalistic. Journalistic news reporting is specifically meant to address as wide an audience as possible, but also to make sure that the topic that's discussed is as relevant to that audience as it can be. Engaging the reader is the number one priority here. Now, we're not writing in journalistic form necessarily. We won't be using the very, very small paragraphs that are used there, but we will focus quite a bit on short, specific points that are being made in a way that is always clear, that's always straightforward, and that helps us to do things like making sure that our writing itself is always as clear and straightforward, as simple as it can be. Your submission will also be due with a graphical element of some kind that will help your reader to understand your point if the op-ed were published. This could be a lot of different things. It could be a picture, it could be a graph, it could be a chart, it could be a table of information. Just something that through visual means helps the reader to see what you're saying in some additional way. I'll be lenient on that. I just want to make sure that the graphical element that's included is somehow relevant to what you're saying. Now, in terms of guidelines, the length here is actually going to be a challenge in a completely different way. There's a minimum of 500 words, which isn't very much, but there's also a maximum of 600 words itself, not very much. We've got about a 100-word range there that we want to end up in. Make sure that your font is 12-point Arial or Times New Roman. That's pretty standard. Double space your paragraphs, and again, make sure you've got that image or other graphical element. We'll have the draft due posted to both the Blackboard Dropbox and the assignment read-around discussion board by 11:59 p.m. on the 5th. After that, your final article posting will be due to Blackboard by the 12th. I'm going to insist that we all upload these things to the read-around discussion board because, number one, that'll be how you get the credit that you would have gotten from the same sort of activity in class. And also, I want to make sure that we can learn from each other's writing. It's always a good thing to see what other people are doing and how they're handling the assignment. So, for now, if you've got questions or concerns, please do bear in mind that there's a discussion board specifically for that in the discussion section of the editorial article project folder. Otherwise, if you do need to get in touch with me, I'll be in office hours here today until noon, and I'll also be holding these office hours from 10 to noon on Friday. Email always works as well. So, if you need me, please get in touch. In the meantime, good luck writing. Everybody stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.